I want to talk about a place we all know. It's not a physical space, but you can feel its contours. It's warm, it's familiar, the expectations are predictable, the risks are calculated to be almost zero. In this place, you are not wrong, you are not rejected, you are not failing in any way that anyone would notice. It is, by all measurable standards, safe. We call it the comfort zone, and I am here to suggest, gently but urgently, that it is the most dangerous place you will ever live. She takes a few slow steps, her hands expressing the architecture of the idea, because it is not designed for living. It is designed for maintenance, for preservation. Its primary function is to keep everything, including you, exactly as it is. And a self that is not growing, not stretching, not asking more of itself, is a self that is, in the most vital ways, beginning to recede. Think of a muscle. In its comfort zone, it is unused, it does not ache. It is perfectly at ease, and day by day it atrophies. It becomes less capable of bearing weight, of performing the very functions it was meant for. Your courage, your creativity, your resilience, they are spiritual and emotional muscles. And the comfort zone is the plush, padded room where they go to weaken. Her tone becomes more personal, confiding. We mistake comfort for happiness. We confuse the absence of anxiety for the presence of peace. But there is a different kind of peace. It's the peace that comes after the effort. It's the deep, earned breath after you've spoken your difficult truth. It's the quiet solidity you feel in your bones after you've survived a failure and found you are still whole, still here, and in fact, more yourself than before. Your comfort zone isn't killing you with drama. It's not a villain in a mask. It's killing you with silence, with a slow, gentle, suffocating yes to everything that is easy, and a silent, persistent no to everything that might make you more. Her voice firms not with anger but with conviction. The magic, the alchemy of a life that feels truly yours, does not happen in the known. It happens in the frontier, in the space just beyond what you've already done. It's in the conversation that scares you, in the project that feels too ambitious, in the no you need to give or the help you need to ask for. It's in the small, daily choosing of the unfamiliar over the familiar. You do not have to burn your life down. You simply have to step across the line you've drawn around yourself. Just one step today and then another tomorrow. Because on the other side of that line is the person you are becoming. Every skill you have, every depth of love you've experienced, every shred of wisdom you've earned, you found it outside the zone of what was already comfortable. She steps forward, her gaze holding the audience with a profound empathy. So I am not asking you to seek constant chaos. I am asking you to listen to the small, persistent whisper that says, I am capable of more. That whisper is the true you, and the comfort zone is the quiet hum that tries to drown it out. This foundational idea dismantles our most cherished assumption about security. We are culturally conditioned to seek comfort as the ultimate prize, the finish line after a long struggle. We speak of settling into a comfortable life as a reward. This speech inverts that logic entirely. It posits that what we call comfort is not a state of well-being, but a state of suspended animation. The zone's primary objective is not to nurture, but to preserve the status quo. Its function is to minimize variables, to eliminate surprise, and to systematically reduce the friction required for growth. In this sense, it operates like a perfectly calibrated ecological bubble, a terrarium. Everything within it is controlled, the temperature, the input, the output. The plant inside may remain green, but it will never grow to its full, wild height. Its roots will never have to seek water deeply, and its leaves will never learn to withstand a real storm. It is preserved, not living. The muscle metaphor is chosen with precise intention. A muscle at rest does not hurt. It is efficient. It conserves energy. In the short term, this feels optimal, but the body's wisdom is designed for adaptation through stress. Without the micro, tears caused by resistance, without the discomfort of lactic acid and effort, the muscle fiber has no biological imperative to rebuild itself stronger. It simply maintains its current, dwindling capacity. The speech applies this physical law to the psyche. Our courage is a muscle that weakens without use. Every time we avoid a difficult conversation, we are not avoiding conflict. We are skipping our reps. Our creativity is a muscle that atrophies when fed only familiar stimuli and never forced to make new, unexpected connections. Our resilience is a muscle that cannot be built by reading about storms. It is forged only by walking through them and discovering, on the other side, that we are still standing. Therefore, the comfort zone is not passive. It is actively hostile to potential. It is a custodian of the past self, dutifully ensuring that no new data contradicts the old identity. The safety it provides is the safety of a known limit. It whispers that the anxiety of the new is a danger signal to be heeded, rather than the necessary neurological buzz of a brain forming new pathways. This reframing is crucial because it moves the problem from a moral failing, "I'm lazy," to a systemic one, "I am in an environment designed to prevent growth." The killing it does is slow, quiet, and psychological. It doesn't end a life, it ends possibility. It trades the vibrant, uncertain, and often messy trajectory of becoming for the polished, static, and ultimately lifeless guarantee of simply being as you are. The tragedy is that we often only perceive this attenuation in hindsight, looking back at years spent in a room where the temperature never changed, wondering when we agreed to stop reaching for the sun. The speech's first keynote is a warning. What you are preserving is not your peace, but your perimeter, and within it, your very capacity for a fuller life is quietly dissolving. This distinction cuts to the heart of our modern existential confusion. We have been sold a narrative that equates ease with happiness and the lack of overt distress with success. The comfort zone traffics in this exact counterfeit currency. It offers a flat line of low-grade contentment, a state where the alarms are silent and the demands are minimal. This feels superficially like peace, but it is the peace of the deserted street, not the thriving city square. It is the quiet of inertia, not the quiet of depth. The speech challenges us to recognize this state for what it is, not an achievement, but a sedation. It is the absence of anxiety, precisely because it has strategically eliminated the sources of anxiety, which are, unfortunately, often the very sources of growth, meaning, and vibrant engagement with life. The earned breath is presented as the authentic alternative. This is peace not as a starting condition, but as a hard, one result. It is the profound, full-body sigh after you have delivered the presentation you prepared for relentlessly, despite the terror. It is the deep, grounded stillness that follows having the courage to end a relationship that was comfortable but empty. This peace has texture and weight. It is infused with the memory of effort and the knowledge of your own capability. It is not the peace of a world without challenge. It is the peace that comes from within yourself, forged in the knowledge that you can meet a challenge and integrate its lessons. One is a peace that is done to you by your circumstances because you've engineered them to be non-threatening. The other is a peace you build within yourself, independent of circumstances, because you have tested your own mettle. This redefinition is liberating because it reframes the inevitable discomfort of growth as a prerequisite for a richer, more reliable serenity. The anxiety of stepping onto a new path is no longer a stop sign, but a signpost reading potential growth ahead. The hollow feeling inside a comfort zone, the nagging sense of "is this all there is exposed as the soul's hunger for the kind of peace that actually nourishes it, the peace of purpose, of alignment, of having dared something. The speech suggests that seeking to avoid all pain is a recipe for a pain far greater, the pain of regret, of stagnation, of a life unlived. By contrast, the voluntary engagement with difficulty, the conscious choice to bear the weight of a meaningful struggle, leads to the quiet solidity of self-respect. You are no longer fragile, dependent on everything remaining calm. You become anti-fragile, gaining strength from the very things that once would have sent you retreating. In this way, the pursuit of true peace paradoxically requires us to willingly leave the false peace of comfort behind, understanding that the most valuable tranquility is not found in a protected harbor, but in the confident stillness a sailor possesses after having learned to navigate the open sea. This characterization is vital because it explains why the threat is so pervasive and yet so easy to ignore. Dramatic failure, a shouted no, or a visible adversary would trigger our defenses. We are wired to respond to clear and present danger. The comfort zone does not operate with such blunt instruments. Its method is far more insidious. It operates through a constant, low-grade affirmation of the mediocre, the easy, and the familiar. It is the slow, gentle, suffocating yes. It's the yes to another episode instead of the work on your idea. The yes to staying silent instead of risking disagreement. The yes to the known career path instead of the intriguing pivot. This yes is a death by 1,000 tiny acceptances, each one seemingly inconsequential, each one making the next easier. There is no single moment of catastrophic decision, only a gradual, almost imperceptible slide into a life defined by the path of least resistance. Its counterpart is the silent, persistent no. This is the veto that is never spoken aloud, but is felt in every avoided opportunity and every subdued dream. It is the internal censor that, without raising its voice, dismisses the ambitious thought as unrealistic, the creative impulse as a waste of time, the social risk as unnecessary. This no doesn't argue, it simply diverts attention. It doesn't forbid, it preemptively discourages. The silence of this process is its greatest weapon. There is no drama to snap us awake, no conflict to galvanize our spirit. Instead, there is a quiet, numbing consensus within ourselves to maintain the equilibrium at all costs. The whisper of potential, I am capable of more, is not attacked. It is drowned out by the ambient hum of comfort, the static of routine, and the comfortable narratives we repeat to ourselves about practicality and safety. This creates a state of spiritual and emotional suffocation. Oxygen, in this metaphor, is the vital exchange with the unknown, the new idea, the challenging feedback, the raw experience that forces adaptation. The comfort zone seals the environment. It recirculates the same air, the same thoughts, the same conversations, until they become stale and depleted of life, giving energy. We slowly grow accustomed to the thinner atmosphere, mistaking our lowered expectations for contentment. Our capacity for wonder diminishes, our tolerance for vibrant, chaotic, oxygen-rich reality weakens. We become acclimated to the dullness. The killing is not an event, but a gradual dimming of vitality, a loss of color and resonance. We are not murdered. We are gently, kindly, persuaded to stop asking for more, until the question itself ceases to occur to us. The tragedy lies in the gentleness of the process. It feels not like a battle being lost, but like a surrender we've quietly agreed to, mistaking the closing walls for a comforting embrace. This perspective is a critical antidote to the overwhelming pressure of grand, faltering transformations. The idea of leaving our comfort zone is often depicted as a dramatic, singular leap, quitting a job, moving across the world, embarking on a radical reinvention. This monumental framing is precisely what paralyzes us. It makes the frontier seem like a distant, perilous cliff edge, making the warm, familiar confines of our current situation feel not just safe, but sensible. The speech deftly redefines this frontier. It is not a distant, foreign land. It is the space just beyond what you've already done. This reorientation is everything. It places the territory of growth immediately adjacent to your current location. The frontier is not on the other side of the world. It is on the other side of a conversation you've been avoiding. It is in submitting the application for the program you think you might not get. It is in the decision to create something without permission, rather than simply consuming what is already there. By framing growth as a small, daily choosing, the speech breaks the act of courage into a sustainable, psychological practice. It is not about mustering a lifetime's supply of bravery in one explosive moment. It is about exercising the choice muscle in minor, manageable repetitions. Each choice is a step across a personal, intimate line. Did you choose to voice your authentic opinion in the meeting today, or did you default to the agreeable silence that feels safer? Did you choose to spend the free hour starting that project, or did you numb it with a familiar scroll? These are the micro expeditions into the frontier. They require no packed bags or burnt bridges. They only require a moment of awareness and a slight deviation from the well-worn neural pathway of habit. This is the step-by-step the speech promises. Today, the frontier is asking a thoughtful question. Tomorrow, it might be setting a boundary. The day after, it might be sharing a vulnerable piece of work. The geography of the frontier is unique to each person, but its nature is the same. It is the next slightly uncomfortable, truthful action. This makes the process of growth accessible and demystifies the concept of a brave person. Bravery is not a personality trait possessed by a lucky few. It is the accumulated residue of these daily, conscious choices. The frontier ceases to be a terrifying abstraction and becomes a practical, immediate toolkit for living. You are not waiting for a cataclysm to force you out of your zone. You are practicing exit strategies every single day in ways that build competence and confidence. Each small foray expands the map of your own capabilities. You return to the familiar not as a prisoner, but as a visitor who now knows the world beyond is navigable. This is how the comfort zone's walls are dismantled, not with a sledgehammer, but with the persistent, gentle pressure of 1,000 tiny steps, each one proving that the frontier is not a place of punishment, but the only place where the next, more capable version of you can possibly exist. This concluding metaphor provides a powerful visual for the entire argument, transforming an abstract concept into a tangible, visceral image. The comfort zone is not a homeland, it is a container. This word implies something manufactured, with fixed dimensions, designed to hold a specific volume. It is perfectly sized for yesterday's version of you. This captures the tragic comedy of our situation. We outgrow our confines, yet we mistake the familiar pressure of the walls for security itself. We curl ourselves to fit. We make ourselves smaller. We accept the limitation of our own reach, all to maintain the illusion that the structure still fits. The container does not grow with you. It is inert. Its function is to define a limit, and in doing so, it imposes one. The speech then offers a radical reinterpretation of a familiar sensation. The feeling of pressure, of restlessness, of vague dissatisfaction within our own lives. We often misdiagnose this as external. The world is closing in, expectations are too high, there is not enough room. But the metaphor flips the script. The pressure you feel is not the world closing in. It is your own strength pushing against the walls. This is a revelation of immense psychological importance. That restless energy, that sense of being meant for more, is not a symptom of ingratitude or maladjustment. It is the signal of life straining against its artificial constraints. It is your expanding consciousness, your accumulated experience, your unexpressed creativity pressing outward. The discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong with you, but a sign that something is right. You are alive, and growth is your nature. The container is denying that nature. Therefore, the call to tear down the padding is not a call to nihilistic destruction or to embrace chaos. It is an act of liberation in service of integrity. The padding is what muffles the world, it dulls the blows, but it also dulls the sensation. It keeps you from feeling the full weather of the world, both its harsh winds and its exhilarating sun. Removing it is an act of claiming your own sensory and experiential capacity. It is choosing to feel deeply and completely, even when it is difficult. The goal is to build your strength, recognizing that strength cannot be built in a vacuum. It requires resistance, tension, and exposure. The caged bird may be safe from predators, but its wings will never know their true purpose. The door, as the speech concludes, is not locked.